Welcome to the HelenaSips Podcast, where I, Helena Nicklin, talk to creative humans who've built careers doing what they truly love and discover the rituals that keep them grounded and bring them joy. And this week...
If I have to get a corkscrew out of my drawer, and I do sometimes, I'm just full of resentment, and it takes me about 10 minutes to calm down. Screw caps are really smart things, I would never ever put my wine under a stupid cork again.
I talked to award-winning actor and winemaker Sam Neill, who owns Two Paddocks vineyards in Central Otago, New Zealand. Now, this isn't quite the normal format, as I grabbed an opportunity to speak to Sam for a magazine while out in New Zealand at a Pinot Noir conference. Yes, that is a thing, before I knew I was going to have this podcast. Luckily, though, I managed to record most of our conversation, and here it is. So let's jump straight in. Sam, I'm just going to hit record here because I know how passionate you are about wine, and I want to capture your answer when I ask you, why is wine the king or queen, not just of booze, but of all drinks?
And I think wine is one of the great achievements of mankind, and a long-standing one. And, we haven't been drinking Manhattans for many years. I don't drink cocktails. But for thousands of years, mankind has enjoyed wine. And I don't know where it started. Was it in Mesopotamia or something when they still drank in the Middle East?
Everyone claims it.
Yeah, but it's one of the great inventions, and one of the great keys to civilization, I think, is wine. To me, life without wine is unimaginable. I mean, I love food. I'm not a drinker. I'm not interested in drinking. The idea of a great meal without wine, it's unthinkable.
Yeah.
That wine and food go together. The combination is part of a good life. Plus, of course, and the two generate these things, companionship and conversation, and occasional philosophical thoughts, but more than anything, amusement and love. I think these things around a table, I cannot think of these things without wine. I don't think that works. Mm-hmm. People are producing alcohol-free wines. What's the point in that? That's an utterly pointless thing to do. Certainly, you shouldn't drink too much alcohol. My advice to people is drink less, but drink better. Don't waste your time with cheap crap. But yeah, too much alcohol is bad for you. Then again, too much milk probably.
That's it. And I agree with you, and I very much believe that the way to appreciate wine better is to educate yourself about it and to learn about it, so you don't just glug it back, so you sip it, and so you understand the story behind it and what's gone into it and the place and the people and all of this. So
yeah, one of the great things about drinking wine and a life with wine, doesn't have to be life in wine, you don't have to swim in it, is discovering all these wonderful regions.
Which regions are you discovering right now?
I'm a big fan now of wines from in Spain it's the Douro and it's the Duero. No, it's the other way around, isn't it? It's the Duero in Spain and the Douro in Portugal.
Yes. Ribera del Duero or Douro, Portuguese Douro wines?
No, the Spanish Duero.
Ah.
Just so good. And again, 20 euros gets you a really good bottle of wine. I'm terribly taken with that. But at this time in my life, discovering a region I never knew anything about is delightful.
Yeah. On regions, what do the three regions that your wines come from give to the wine? So we're talking about Alex, we're talking about Bannockburn and Gibston in terms of in the bottle.
Look, I think they're distinctly different. If I was to sort of characterize Two Paddocks wine in general, I like to think of them as sort of understated, that they have an elegance to them. There's nothing sort of showy about them. They're there to last. But more than anything, they're there to enjoy. The first paddock, which is also the origin story, that's where I planted my first grapes in 93, is the highest. it's also, for that reason, it's the most unpredictable. We can get frosts, and it has it has a very long growing season. It tends to be sort of more red fruits with a nice sort of acid kind of background. Acid is the wrong word, isn't it? Acid, I don't know. But they're very distinct, for instance, from the Last Chances, which is the most southerly. The Last Chance is the most beautiful aspect. It faces north, so it gets a lot of sun, but also gets a lot of wind. It's kind of, I always think it's brutal but beautiful. It's a tough place for a vine. That's often a good thing with Pinot. You get a slightly thicker skin and a more intense color as a result of that. Last Chance, again, the most southerly vineyard in the world. After that, it's just Antarctica. It's completely surrounded by wild thyme, so it does have sort of elements of toasted herbal overnotes that I enjoy. It's my favorite vineyard. But then right in the middle is the Fusilier, and it's in the sort of dead center of Central Otago. So you've got those two really remote vineyards, but the Fusilier is right in the center of things. It's right next to my friend Nigel Greening's vineyard at Felton Road. So the Fusilier is right in the center of things. And at Bannockburn, you get the most, I don't know, plush wines, the darker fruit. They have warm days, warm nights. Those other two vineyards, for instance, have very cold nights. And it's entirely reliable. and those are the wines the critics kind of fall over for. But personally, the Last Chance is the one for me.
But so labor intensive to grow the grapes there, surely. What does it take to do that?
I mean, in order to grow Pinot Noir seriously, and that's not easy, we both know that, because it's such a low yielding vine, and when you're growing it organically and properly like we do, every vine is visited by a pair of human hands 14 times a year. Yeah. That's a lot of work. So it's very labor intensive to do it well and conscientiously as we do. But nevertheless, we're still relatively affordable. But we're not £5 in Sainsbury, that's not what we do.
Can we do that thing where you describe your cuvées as songs?
That's a very good question, and I've never been asked that before. But the Fusilier, because it's named for my father, who was in the Royal Irish Fusiliers, I think we need a good Irish a marching song, the sort of thing that the pipes and drums would be playing as the regiments advanced towards Napoleon's imperial troops in the Iberian Peninsula in 1907. Oh, I wrote down one. And I got a recording of it with the Irish Guards playing it, I think. The title is "If You're Irish and Begorra."
Great.
I think it's "If You're Irish, come into the parlour, much,
Kind of uplifting, isn't it?
And I'm sure they'd be playing, when my father was in Italy fighting the Nazis in 1944, they would have gone into battle with "If You're Irish and Begorra." This is a good question. So I think the Last Chance, something lovely and operatic. Maybe it's Pavarotti with Nessun Dorma or something like that, because the wine really sings. Or perhaps Kiriti Kanoa should be singing, I'm not sure, given that she's from this obscure part of the world.
Maybe Pavarotti's a bit too bassy, it's a tenor. Oh my goodness, I'm so bad at this.
We'll get Kiri to sing it then. The first paddock, just because it came on, and I'm playing my old song lists on Apple. of my old favorite songs that just give me such pleasure. And I was thinking, what would be a good song for First Paddock? And Bob Dylan sings, "I Can't Get You Off My Mind."
Mm.
And once you've drunk First Paddock, you can't get it off your mind. But something, as far as the just Two Paddocks estate goes, this is so juvenile, I can't think.
It's the point of the question. Don't worry about that.
It's going to be Queen, "We Are the Champions."
Excellent.
No, it's juvenile.
It's great.
It seems to me that New Zealand wine has come a really long way over the last 30 years or so. So how far would you say it's come?
I think it's come a long way. I mean, I planted in the early 90s. They were still saying in the 70s here, the official word was you should not grow wine in the South Island at all.
My God.
That was government diktat.
That has come a long way then.
Yeah. And then they started planting Sauvignon Blanc in Marlborough. And, you know, I'm not a Sauvignon drinker, but what's interesting about New World wines is that it's not like, what are the famous, Sancerre and Puy-Fumé. It's not like them at all. It's a completely different expression from the same grape. And it's very quaffable and all that. It's not for me, but it's certainly, I'm very grateful that it's sort of put New Zealand on the world stage and has been very productive for that reason. Since then, you know, it's become apparent, and really it was only during the 90s, the end of the 90s, that Central Otago became sort of recognized as its own region. And there were a couple of pioneers, Rolf Mills at Ripon, who was a great family friend. He started growing grapes here in the 60s or 70s. It's his Pinots that because I had been introduced to Pinot Noir in my early days acting in London, and I lived off the Edgware Road. I had a good wine shop down the corner, and James Mason had introduced me to this wine, and he told me never to forget it, and I never did. And I started growing, and it was a great surprise to me that you could actually grow my favorite wine in my favorite part of the world. That was so serendipitous. So 1993 was when I first planted Pinot. And now we have 4 or 5 regions in New Zealand where Pinot does well. And that's very unusual because it's a very finicky grape, and not much is produced in the world because there's not many places you can actually grow it, you know, and people do grow it, and it's not good, you know. And you shouldn't be growing it in, I don't know, Bloemfontein or the Napa Valley. It's not suitable for these places, you know. But there are little pockets in the world where it does work. The Mornington Peninsula is good. There are certain little pockets in Tasmania and little pockets in New Zealand, but they're very rare. They're very rare places, you know.
Have you heard that Essex is the latest place for fine Pinot?
Oh my goodness.
I know.
The Romans were growing it up in Norfolk or something, weren't they?
I'm not sure it was Pinot, but yeah, I mean they were planting stuff everywhere. But yeah, Crouch Valley, Essex. I mean, as an Essex girl myself, I can't get my head around fine wine from Essex, but it's coming. It's coming through.
Yeah, that does seem like a contradiction in terms, doesn't it?
It does.
There's been a lot of humour at Essex's expense, hasn't there?
Yes, there has. Yes.
Unkindly.
Unkindly. Yeah, I think I know the entire Essex Girl joke book that came out in about 1991. When you cook, do you listen to music or podcasts or TV? I think I know the answer to this question, but...
Do I listen to podcasts? There's a couple I like very much. One's called The Rest is History.
Oh, I love that.
Another one's called The Rest is Politics, but I've gone away from that now because I don't want to know about politics anymore.
Mm-hmm.
it was making me feel bad, mentally and physically and everything else. So I'm just listening to nice old songs now. And the other thing I've been listening to, I've been in love with this program since forever, is Desert Island Discs. And all the archives are there on Spotify. And you go back to the 70s or something, all these people that you love or didn't or hated or something, and there they are. And there's their song lists, and there they are talking about themselves. Oh, it's fantastic. I love that. And I cannot be on a plane without Desert Island Discs.
You've not done one. I'm surprised. Oh, travesty. Let's make that happen.
I cannot think of a more difficult thing to do, to get my life down into 8 songs.
Yeah, I can imagine for you that would be.
Yeah. The song list I'm listening to at the moment, and it's about 30,000 songs on it, and I've been compiling it over the year. It's got a really banal title. It's called All Day Favorites. And it's 30,000 songs or something, and I never tire of it. It's all the stuff I've loved. So to get 8 songs down from 30,000, it's a big ask.
One of the quickfire questions was going to be cork or screw cap, but then I heard your views on it. But for the people, please give us your views.
Oh, and if I have to get a corkscrew out of my drawer, and I do sometimes, I'm just full of resentment, and it takes me about 10 minutes to calm down. Because I was personally burnt by mouldy corks from Portugal in 1998. No, 99. And part of the problem with coming from the most obscure place in the world is you get the corks that nobody else wants.
Do you know, I heard a different story. Well, a slightly different story, in that they came to New Zealand and a few producers had the same issue that you did. And then apparently they sold them back to the French. And because a lot of them were returned, that weren't the ones that weren't used. And that is the reason why there was a lot of pre-mocs in Burgundy in the early 2000s, apparently.
Once you start seeing Burgundy under a screw cap, sanity begins to prevail in the world. Screw caps are really smart things, and I would never, ever put my wine under a stupid cork again. The things break apart, There's nothing romantic about. People say it's so romantic, the pop of a wine cork. That's not my idea of romance. My idea of it, is the little click, and then
that's the noise, isn't it? But there's nothing romantic about a corked wine.
There is nothing romantic. And look, it's one thing if it's corked. I mean, you can send it back and go, and the sommelier will say, "You're absolutely right, sir. This is. I will get you something else." But it's the one that's just slightly corked. You think, "Am I going to say anything, or shall I just grin and bear it?" I don't know. And it's surprising how often that happens. I don't want anyone to have that with Two Paddocks. I just want a nice, clean wine that is right every time.
Because you won't try the brand again, as you said. It's true, isn't it? Just one bad experience, and they won't. It's not obvious it's the cork.
Yeah, it was okay, but I didn't like it much.
Yeah, no, exactly. You say wine should be fun. I completely agree. What's the most outrageous place you've ever cracked a bottle of wine?
Oh, I splurged out, and I've got a friend who's got a helicopter, and we went up to an alpine lake, which is up at about 7,000 feet, and there are glaciers coming into this lake. It's an incredibly beautiful spot. And we put the rosé, we had our lunch up there. It was midsummer, but we needed some decent wool jackets. And the lake was ice cold, and we put a bottle of our rosé there and then had that lunch for lunch. The pilot did not drink, I'm pleased to say. And that was a real treat. It has to be with food. I just don't go cracking bottles randomly. It was a great picnic lunch, and the rosé was perfect.
Speaking of pleasures, food and wine pairing, the ultimate Pinot pairing, your favorite with your Pinots, maybe?
Yeah. Yes, I think probably lamb.
Hmm.
Do you know, I grew up in a country where people ate lamb all the time. You know, this was the staple in New Zealand. But people like my mother would turn on the oven in the morning, whatever it was, and then turn it off when it was dinner time. So everything was overcooked. And then it was a revelation when people would cook a leg of lamb that was pink inside. Oh my God, it's just that it was life-changing, that. But now they're slow cooking again, like my mother. Everything has to fall off the bone. Why? Go back to pink. Go back to the pink. It's like you don't cook beef till it falls off the bone. Why are they murdering lamb now?
I don't know. Do you cook it?
I'm not a cook, but when my occasional cook is in res, we like to live entirely off the land. So we're eating our own meat. I've got a great organic vegetable garden down the hill. And it's great to eat everything that's come off the property, including the mint sauce. But here's the thing about Pinot. It is the most flexible wine when it comes to food.
Mm.
As long as it's not too delicate. Pinot is fine with fish, don't you think?
Oh yeah, especially the slightly lighter styles. Yeah, I love it with tuna and even sort of meaty whitefish for sure.
Yeah.
So talking about cooking, we talk about lamb and eating from the land. So you have a lot of animals on your farm. You name most of them.
If they've got a name, you don't eat them.
Right, okay. So who is there at the moment? I've seen Magda.
Magda, and I just went down today, and she's down to 2 little ducklings now, poor little thing. It's a little bit heartbreaking. And those 2 Peking ducks that live with her. We've just shorn our sheep. I always have about a dozen cattle, and they're there for organic purposes. Their prime object is to produce manure, which the wine's very grateful for. I got a few goats over at the last charts. What else have I got?
Did you really have a cow called Helena? Obviously named after Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah, I've still got a cow called Helena Bonham Carter. It's just down the hill there.
Excellent.
She's had about 7 calves now, I think. She's been with me a long time.
Ah.
And she's the most friendly one. And she'll come over. She's got these huge horns, and she likes to be scratched, on the forehead. But I always think, I hope she still likes me, because if she decided to skewer me with one of those things, that'll be the end of it.
Another quick-fire question. Very important, this one. If Sam Neill were a wine, what would he be and why?
I think I might be something without a label. That you'd find exploring someone's cellar that's been bricked off because they didn't want the Nazis to find them. You can't read what's on the label anymore. It's so old. But when you open it and give it a go, it's fully mature and very satisfactory. That's what I'd like to think.
Okay. Yes, mellow. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. And a role that's really resonated with you.
Look, not sure if I've got any favorites, but I think one that gave me the greatest satisfaction, perverse or otherwise, was Campbell in Peaky Blinders. I loved doing the accent, and I loved what a bad bastard he was,
Yeah, I can imagine. If you had to make a film about your own life, who would direct it?
That would be a very boring film. I think it'd be 10 minutes. It would be animated, and I'd be one of those sort of sad guys that Mickey Mouse makes a fool of,
Right. Okay.
There's never going to be a film about me that would be of any interest at all, unless it's all made up and it's animated.
I disagree, but fine. Okay, next question. How do you define success at 77 compared to what you thought it was at 27? Or is it the same thing?
At 27, I had no interest in success. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what. I still couldn't actually visualize the possibility of having a career as an actor, so that took me by surprise. And I was a bit of a sort of hippie anyway, and I had no ambition. But I think probably at this point in my life, I could say I've been a bit of a success, and I think the proof of that is that I'm still working.
Yeah, and as an actor, surely that is everything. Okay, another quick fire question here. If you could sum up your life with a toast, what would you say?
I think probably now I could say a life well lived, and it would certainly be worth a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm. Pinot?
Yeah, no question.
No question.
I mean, I think the balance I've maintained between farming and my professional acting life has been a very satisfactory one. I think it's been a sort of, whether by accident or by design, I'm well enough known to get lots of work, but not too well known that I need bodyguards, you know.
Okay, and finally, the big one. Do you have a Sam Neill figurine?
Yes. Well, I had a couple of, I think they're called Funko Pops. They're little Japanese toys, and they have big heads.
Oh, those, yeah.
There are two of me, one as a young Alan Grant in Jurassic Park, and one as an old Alan Grant with a grey beard. I did have those, but I sold them for charity. We raised a lot of money for refugee children.
Well done.
So the answer is, I don't anymore.
Don't anymore. Okay. Look, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you. Thank you for giving me so much of your time.
And I'll be thinking of you next time I see the other Helena.
Thank you. All right. Take good care.
Thanks for all that. It's been fun.
Lovely. Have a great day.
That was the gorgeous human that is Sam Neill, speaking to me from his home in Central Otago, New Zealand, after we met on a recent wine trip. Thank you, Chris Stroud and New Zealand Wine, so much for getting us together. You can find Sam on Instagram at SamNeillTheProp and in literally hundreds of films, from all the Jurassic Parks, Peaky Blinders, to classics like Dr. Zhivago, Ivanhoe, Dead Calm and The Piano. I'll be back soon with another guest. Please subscribe if you enjoy these episodes and don't forget to tell your friends. Until next time, bye-bye.